Welcome back to another Monday Night Showdown here at Fantasy Sports Insight. This is Hold the Door DFS. We have the Steelers and the Bengals with one of the biggest spreads of the year on a primetime game. I think if they could have had a chance to flex this Monday night game, they would have. But to have two pretty poor primetime games in a row after seeing the Giants' performance last night, this is a little bit disappointing to the eye test, but I think there is definitely some money to be won with some great value here on the Cincinnati side. So be sure to check this out. Hit that like button below if you enjoy our content, and make sure you subscribe to our channel. It is the best way that you can repay us for this free content. All right, let's get into the odds. As I already said, this is one of the biggest spreads you will see all season. And it is, where is my screen here? Yeah, this is one of the biggest spreads all season. We have a 14.5 point spread here with the Steelers. And with a backup quarterback for the Bengals, Joe Mixon's out. I don't know. This just screams blowout. I do get at some of these games, even like last night, like you thought it screamed blowout, and you're like, oh, let's just fade Baker because they won't need to throw the ball, but they still are going to put up points to get the lead, and so I don't think you can always just completely fade the passing game of these teams that are going to win, even if it's by a big margin. So 14.5 point spread, 40.5 over under. So with Finley playing quarterback, I think that, they're expecting the Bengals to score, I don't know, a touchdown maybe. So let's get into the slate. Let's start on the Pittsburgh side. They are favored here by a lot. Roethlisberger is 11,800. It feels like the Steelers have been on a lot of these showdown slates, and they have. Ben Roethlisberger usually puts up these mediocre performances, which at 11,800, I want more than a mediocre. But if you want the common denominator between the passing game, Roethlisberger is going to be the guy. So if you say, this is the issues that I've run in with these slates, and you can kind of make your own call, but you can pay down and get two of the receiving options instead of Roethlisberger. But then when you pick Deontay Johnson and SmithSchuster, and then the touchdown goes to Claypool or James Washington or Ebron, then you're upset. So I love the fact that the receivers have a nice floor for the Steelers, because Roethlisberger's been throwing so many short balls. Like, that is their running game, is just their short passing game. That's why Deontay Johnson has always been so good. Obviously, we know he has drop problems, right? And he was benched for part of that game against Buffalo. But I think, here it says that he's going to be given a clean slate. They know he's one of their most talented players on their team. So at 10,200, I would be fine going back to him. He had 7 targets, but, sat out part of that game. The 10-2 price tag is a little hefty, but he's still my favorite of the group. SmithSchuster, as I mentioned on one of the other videos, one of our other coaches, Zach Keats, is a Steeler super fan, and he just knows, like, they use SmithSchuster to move the chains. Then when it's, down in the red zone, he's a great target. So your expectations for somebody like him might be a little bit less than the upside of like Claypool catching a long one, or Deontay Johnson just having like 10 catches all in general and then a short touchdown. I think these are priced a little bit too close. That makes me like Johnson a lot more and SmithSchuster a little bit less. Doesn't mean that you can't play them both, and I do still like SmithSchuster. I just don't like how closely they're priced. Claypool at 8,600 has been less efficient lately in the last 2 or 3 games, after he rattled off like 4 games in a row where he had a multiple touchdown. So I think you're getting the in-form discount on him. I mean, his price has dropped based on his form. So I think He's in play, but a little bit more GPP due to his form lately. Steelers defense, 7,200. Now, I made this mistake of fading them, and I don't even know if it was a complete mistake. Like, they ended up scoring, let's see, what did they score? I know they have the defensive touchdown against Baltimore, 14 points, and they were 7,800. It probably was a mistake to fade them because there wasn't that many other great DFS options on that slate. So it's not like every receiver went off. I think SmithSchuster had a touchdown, Deontay Johnson did, but after that, it wasn't that great. They're definitely in play because Finley is starting at quarterback. They are one of the best defenses in the league. They're a 14.5-point favorite. I still think they could be overpriced. Like they're definitely in play. And if Connor is in and no limitations, I prefer Connor to the defense. But I get it. I get the defense. They're going to get some sacks. They're going to get probably a couple INTs. They don't give up many points. They can easily hit double digits, a defensive touchdown, and they're way up there. Ebron, again, also has nice upside here. I'll get back to Connor here in a second. But I think last week was his first non-double digit game in his last 4. Okay, James Conner. So right now, and this is the morning of Monday night that I'm recording this, is questionable. It says even in here that they might just be cautious with him, and we've seen them do that with him all year. Like he doesn't, since before his injury in midseason again, he's been kind of on a light workload anyway. So honestly, I hope he just misses and we don't have to worry about potentially playing the starting running back at 6,600 just because he's that cheap, even though he's been kind of limited. So if he's out, then that would definitely elevate Benny Snell Jr. And in a matchup that they're projected to win by 14.5. If they get that lead and now he is cheaper, even though he really underperformed as the starting running back as well, I would feel more confident rostering Benny Snell Jr. In that case. You had the Baltimore game where he had 12.3, but that was really because he caught 3 balls and for 33 yards. Otherwise, he'd have been under 10. Washington game, he started apparently. They didn't really run the ball at all. So I mean, Washington has a good run defense, but in general, your team, you're going to be targeting Pittsburgh here. And if you play Roethlisberger and you play Steelers defense, you likely get one other of those options like Deontay Johnson, unless you go that's why I hope we just get Connor out. We can potentially lock in Snell, or at least consider him. James Washington, 4,400, has been getting there lately. And I really like the 6 targets. Now, it was a game that they needed to throw the ball, and this game script is going to be different than that. So I don't think he is as much as a great value as he was on the other 2 slates, but he is obviously, they like to give him a couple chances on some deep balls. And at 4,400, he could easily pay off that price tag. Boswell should be the starting kicker tonight. Vance McDonald, did he finally do something to get the price increase? No, just 2 targets. So he's better off suited at 200. Now he's 1,000 and he hasn't done anything. So if Connor is out, we can look to somebody like McFarland Jr. As a complete punt again, but we thought he'd be getting more work, and they're just like, let's just throw it instead of giving other guys more work. Jalen Samuels saw 4 carries last week and caught 3 balls through the air, so he might be in play. It's just, hopefully we get some clarity on James Conner, and if you're in our Discord channel, then I will make sure to update you on that as well. All right, let's go to the Cincinnati side of the ball, which is a lot uglier. You got Tyler Boyd at 8,400, who has been their top target, just in terms of target share. He has upside just because of how many balls he could potentially catch. You're not playing him for the deep ball, but he has caught one before. You have T. Higgins at 6,800, who's also been one of their more consistent options lately. 8 targets, 5 and 10, and has played pretty decent. So I think at the discount, you probably go T. Higgins over Boyd. Okay, so Ryan Finley here. He's replacing Brandon Allen, who was a much better option than Ryan Finley is. Um, I don't remember if he started that game against Washington. Okay, yeah, I gotta double check. I'm not. So in the Dolphins game, he came in with 7:08 remaining. Okay, so 6 for 7, 40 yards through a pick. Um, Finley is expected to start week 12. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, here's the game that he started against Washington. 3 for 10, 30 yards. Oh no, that's when he came in for Joe Burrow. Regardless, I mean, this is the mistake I even made it last night. Like Colt McCoy. Now, Colt McCoy, don't get me wrong, he played well. If you watch the game, he played well. He was a perfect manager, a backup. Frankly, the Giants dropped so many balls that ended drives, and they had what, 4 drives, I think, at least, that got inside like the 25-yard line. They couldn't score. He threw for over 200 yards. I don't know. At 8,000, again, I think if Finley throws a touchdown, 4 points, gets 150 to 200 yards passing, you're at 10 to 12 points. Steelers defense is definitely safer. Finley obviously has more upside just being a quarterback. And then you could also go someone like T. Higgins with the PPR upside. So it's just a tough waters to go through with Ryan Finley. I think I would probably just fade him and not worry about it. Yeah, Gio Bernard is, I guess, the starting running back, but he hasn't been that great. AJ Green, 5,400. Again, I don't really want to attack this passing game for Cincinnati. Siebert's going to be in for kicker over Bullock. I'm not going to be playing the Bengals D, but I am going to be considering down here Travion Williams, who saw 12 carries last game for 1,200. He fumbled. I think him and Gio Bernard both fumbled like in the first drive, and they were benched for a little bit. Perrine could get some carries too, but I think Williams and probably Boswell are the best values on the slate. My three favorite cash plays are going to be Roethlisberger, Deontay Johnson, and then likely either the Steelers defense, or if you play one more, maybe you play SmithSchuster or Claypool. We need a lot more clarification on James Conner before I lock anything in with a running back position. I'm definitely fading the Cincinnati passing game and hopefully going from there. So I think some people actually will like captain like the Steelers defense, which is totally fine. Like there's definitely upside here for a defensive touchdown and multiple sacks and a couple interceptions. So hopefully you enjoy listening to our content here at Fantasy Sports Insight. We have tons of primetime games coming up and the playoffs. We'll have you covered for every single game. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you, those who are leaving comments down below.